Hey everybody, it's Alicia with Graceful Plants, and today I will be chopping and propping up my Scindapsus pictus and my Cebu blue. So here are the two plants that I'm going to be chopping and propping today. My Cebu blue is right here, and it's got a long vine that curls all the way up and is coming down into my spider plant babies. And then over here, my Scindapsus pictus is got 2 or 3 or 4 vines that are going up and down and curling around. So I got my Scindapsus down first, and I just wanted to show you the difference between the winter growth, which, if you can see this here, there is a leaf node here and there's one here, and there's a lot of just empty space here where no leaves grew in the winter, so they are very spaced out, which is one of the reasons why I want to kind of cut this guy up and get myself a bushier plant. So this is one of my plants that I really like having as a trailing plant, but with this excess winter growth, the vines are a little bare. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to be cutting this guy up. But I just want to show you the difference between the empty winter growth, where the plant was basically searching for light that it just wasn't getting here in our Wisconsin winter, because I did not have this guy under a grow light. And this is the recent growth since it has been out here in the light and the humidity on the sun porch. And you can tell that there is less space between each leaf node. So this is what we want. So today we're gonna cut them up. So chopping and propping your plants is very easy. I am going to be doing water propagation with these guys because they both root really nicely in water. And for me, I find that's pretty much the easiest way to do a lot of, propagations with Scindapsus, with pothos. They really like the water. So I just have a pair of scissors here that I've sanitized with alcohol, so we're not gonna be giving my little cuttings any disease or dirt or who knows what was on these scissors. You can do each cutting as a single leaf cutting, but I am going to do sections for some of these parts because, as you can see, this is already close together, so there's no reason to separate it up into single leaves. So all you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna cut right behind this node there where the aerial root is. So there's just a little snip, and there you go. You've already got one down. And then when you have pieces like this where there is no leaf here anymore, you can also propagate these. As long as you have this little node area, it'll still grow. So we'll just do a stick. We'll just do one little stick. So we'll put this one in probably a smaller jar so it doesn't drown in the water here. Also, when you're cutting these up for propagations, you don't want to cut right as close to the node as you possibly can. You can leave yourself a little bit of an empty stem here just to kind of allow for any possible rot that could happen. It basically is just saving your node from being the closest point to any possible rot that could happen. All right, so I think I've got him fairly trimmed back, and these are all of the cuttings that I took from him. Like I said, I did a lot of multiple leaf cuttings where the ones were, the leaves were closer. And then I did do mostly 2 leaf cuttings because the plan is to propagate these, root these, and then add them back to the existing original pot to have a fuller, bushier plant. And then the ones that I did the single leaf cuttings on, where there was a lot of space between the leaves, I will do just the single leaf, and then I might even start just a new pot of these single leaf guys. So I've got all of these done, and I will go and grab my Cebu blue. All right, so here is my Cebu blue. So fortunately, the leaves aren't as spaced out on my Cebu blue as they were on my Scindapsus. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with him. except he's just got one big long vine. I'm going to chop this guy up, and I'm going to be adding these ones to a separate pot because, as you can see, I've kind of been letting the Cebu blue in this pot kind of grow upwards and trail a little bit. But I do want to start a pot with a moss pole and let them kind of grow upwards. If you give a plant like Cebu blue a moss pole to grow up, it will eventually, I mean, a long way down the road, it will actually grow big enough that it will actually fenestrate like a monstera. So I'd kind of like one vining one and then one climber. So we're going to chop this guy up and we'll get these ones in water. So I just wanted to show you these two leaves here quick. As you can see, they've actually started to wrap around themselves. So it kind of shows you that the Cebu blue just wants to climb. It wants to grow upwards. So I thought that was kind of neat. So like I said before, when you're making your cuts, you don't want to cut directly next to your node, just in case there is any rot that happens when you put these in water, that rot won't be so close to your node where it's going to, kill off your node. But at the same time, all of this extra stem is basically just going to be taking up space in your jar or whatever you're propagating. Nothing is going to grow from this because there is no growth point. So it's kind of a personal preference, but you can trim this back a little bit and it will help your cuttings fit into your propagation station, whatever you're using. So that's just another little tip for you. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna trim these guys up now. So I haven't added water to these yet, but I just wanted to kind of show you here. So I put all of my single leaf cuttings into this jar with rubber bands, which kind of help hold them up out of the water because you don't want the leaves actually touching the water because that'll just encourage rot. I squeezed all of my Cebu blues into this little jar, which I'll be moving these ones, but I don't have a lot of jars available right now because I do have a lot of propagations going, because as I saw plants declining during the pandemic lockdown, I tried to get a couple cuttings from some plants and most of my jars are occupied at the moment. So I have these guys in this little jar. So then for my larger Scindapsus cuttings, I will be going through and trimming these guys up a little bit because if you can see, there are some leaves inside the jar, which you don't want because leaves below your water line are just going to encourage rot. So I will be going back through and picking out the stems that have the leaves below the water line, and I will just be picking off the leaf because there obviously is a growth point in there, and I do want that growth point in the water, just not the leaf. So hopefully this helps you guys if you have a plant that has one long rogue vine, to kind of show you that it is okay to trim that back, propagate it up, and then add it to your pot and get yourself a bigger, bushier, fuller plant, which will eventually give you more fuller vines. But as always, you guys are awesome. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.